So let me begin really by mentioning a few things. We're continuing our efforts to address homelessness from all sides. And we know that there are some key strategic areas that we have to work on really simultaneously. So one is building more supportive housing facilities. And so we announced, I think it was about 6 months ago, that we're going to be building 40 new units down sort of a couple of blocks that way outside of downtown. We're in one of these facilities now, so this gives you sort of a preview of what we need a little bit more of. And we've already funded and are in the process of beginning to actually construct that and so forth. The other piece is, of course, working on the fact that right now there's still nowhere to go that is 24/7 in terms of a homeless shelter or a clearinghouse that has no barriers to it. And so, as folks know, up in the upcoming ballot in November, there's a big piece of funding there. We're asking the city to step up and fund that. Now, the third piece is around housing vouchers, and this is something we've mentioned a lot. This is the highest return on investment way to effectively provide a housing first model for folks, to give them a place, some shelter, and then we provide services to those folks as they're in a comfortable place to live. This is probably the only tried and true proven model that everyone has consensus on in terms of its effectiveness. And we know there is much more demand for it in Albuquerque than we have funding for. So we were able to get an additional $2 million for this program, and we're asking the community to help support it. And so today we're celebrating the first 2 housing vouchers that were funded by citizens of Albuquerque through donations to our One Albuquerque Fund. So you might see this sometimes on billboards, the logo sort of with the keys that represent keys to a house or to an apartment. And then, of course, you see this now with the orange signs, which replace the blue signs. We really want to direct people. We believe the best way, if you want to help out personally and make a little financial contribution to anything in the homeless arena, we think the most effective way and the way that we really need help on is with these housing vouchers. And so today, we are announcing the first 2 individuals who've actually been housed by the citizens of Albuquerque. And so for us, let me tell a little bit about their story, but some facts. We've raised about $17,000 for the One Albuquerque Housing Fund, and that's with really just word of mouth and social media. And so our promotional campaign, we started this in February, and we're using $14,000 of those dollars to house 2 men. And their stories, we want to keep them confidential for their personal privacy reasons, but we want to share with you a little bit about their stories. One of the individuals is a person who was experiencing homelessness for 9 years. They also were living with a disability and were a victim of domestic violence. And they are now part of the supportive housing network and have stable shelter and support services for the first time. Now, similarly in outcome, but a much different path, the second individual was basically just living paycheck to paycheck, got into debt problems, ended up losing their job, lost their home, led to 8 years of homelessness. We are now hopefully breaking that cycle for those 2 individuals because of all the citizens of Albuquerque, well, all the people in Albuquerque who pitched in to provide funding for these housing vouchers. So anyone can donate at cabq.gov/housing fund, and we're going to continue to make this a way in which we can come together as One Albuquerque to help individuals suffering from homelessness. And to tell us more about this specific supportive housing program, we have the executive director here, Steve Ross.
Well, great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Keller. We really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share Supportive Housing Coalition's mission. And this is just one glaring example of the kind of good things that come about. We really appreciate the leadership that Mayor Keller is providing in this and our partnership with the Family Community Services Department here in Albuquerque. So we're delighted that Supportive Housing Coalition is the first recipient to kind of make this happen. And as you heard from the mayor, the 2 individuals now that we are able to support and help to make that happen. And I'm really happy and proud of our community housing team because they're the folks that really get the credit for helping the 2 individuals and helping them get housed. Supportive Housing Coalition is a 23-year-old organization, and our mission is to end homelessness. And we wouldn't be able to do that if we didn't have the support from the city, the leadership of the mayor, and again, the department from the Family Community Services. This is what really makes it all possible. We're very fortunate to be probably the largest voucher provider through our contracts with the city in terms of getting lots of individuals and families housed up through the Housing First model that you heard the mayor describe, because that really truly is the pathway to success of helping individuals get off the street, stay housed, and really kind of live the type of productive life that all of us want for each and every one of the individuals in our community. Also, you heard the mayor mention this particular facility downtown at 702nd. It's a 72-unit micro-efficiency low-income housing property, so it's a mixed ratio in terms of some of the folks that have been chronically homeless and homeless individuals that are housed here, along with market rate individuals and other low-income housing folks that we have. This particular property wouldn't happen if we didn't again have the city to support this effort. So there's a lot of partnering groups that made this happen. And at Supportive Housing, we're just very pleased and privileged to be able to run and manage this facility. So that pretty much, I think, shares what I'd like to give to all of you. And again, thank you, Mayor Keller, for making all this happen with the One Albuquerque Fund.
Thank you. And our Deputy Director for Housing and Homelessness, Lisa Raval.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we know at the city and really in our community that if we really want to have an impact on homelessness, we have to be able to help people quickly move from homelessness into permanent housing. And housing vouchers are really at the very core of our strategy to do that. We know that housing vouchers with some basic supportive services attached are a highly effective solution to homelessness. And the mayor was right on when he said this is just one of those strategies there's just clear consensus around. We know that this works. In Albuquerque, about 90 or over 90% of folks who receive a housing voucher with supportive services are able to stay permanently housed. And we also really know that housing vouchers are very cost effective. When people have housing versus living on the streets or in shelter, they're far less likely to be in the jail, at the emergency room, in the hospital, or at a detox facility. And all of these are just these really expensive public resources. So it actually costs less for us to pay for a housing voucher than it does for us to simply do nothing. We know that so many people in our community care about homelessness. They're seeing our homeless neighbors when they drive to work, when they take their kids to school and they want to do something. Some folks are already supporting nonprofits they care about, and that's great. We encourage folks to continue to do that. I think many other people in our community haven't been sure how to help, or they want to do more. And we really believe in the One Albuquerque Housing Fund. This really offers an opportunity for people in our community to give those experiencing homelessness a path to permanent housing by paying for housing vouchers and other housing costs like security deposits. And I really want to highlight and thank Supportive Housing Coalition for their partnership in this effort. They are one of the nonprofits in our community that has the longest and deepest experience with providing housing for people experiencing homelessness, and they are key to our success. Because they also have several contracts with the city already around housing vouchers, we can really leverage these One Albuquerque housing funds and get them out into the community as quickly as possible so they can begin housing one household at a time. So I really want to thank you for your partnership, and we're excited to get more One Albuquerque housing funds out into our community and to begin housing more people. Thank you.
All right. Good job, everybody. Thank you. So, and to remind folks that this is, so Kevin, come on up, Vanna. So, you know, this not everyone gave because of the sign, but the sign, this is the program that has now housed these two individuals. So we're very excited, and we hope this is just the beginning of how we can come together as a community to support all this, everything that Lisa just described. Yeah, great job. So we should pose for a picture.
All right. With the sign.